There once lived a brother and a sister named Kyle and Leila on a planet called Mantis. Mantis had purple-colored ocean and its trees were bright orange. Leila loved to draw. She drew her favorite rainforest, oceans, and so on. But when she doesn't get a picture right, she might end up having an ocean of papers, crushed papers, in her room. Her brother wasn't an artist, but he loved to invent things. He teased Leila every now and then with his new inventions. The two of them didn't have anything in common except for the love towards the planet's most mesmerizing rainforest called the Macon Forest. Their dad knew just the right place for the summer vacation. When Leila came to know of their vacation, she was all excited. She ran to Kyle's room. Do you know where we are off to this summer? Rejoiced Leila. But Kyle wasn't there. She looked for him. Suddenly, she heard a deep growling. Then came a huge roar. Leila got terrified. She saw a 5-foot T-Rex with a cowboy hat run towards her. She ran out of the room as quickly as she can. Kyle looked at all this and he laughed. Leila looked back. That's when Leila realized that the T-Rex was only a hologram, but it looked so real. Not only can this dinosaur scare people away, but it can also respond to what it sees, bragged Kyle. You're going to pay for this, said Leila, and walked away from Kyle's room. Ha ha, we'll see about that, said Kyle. Yeah, I'm telling Dad that Kyle is no longer interested to see the rainforest, said Leila. What? What did you say? The Macon forest? Asked Kyle eagerly. Yes, you, mister, is not going to be part of it, said Leila and walked away. Please, 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 don't tell him that I want to go with you to the forest. The forest makes about 50% of the fresh air that we breathe. I want to experiment with soil in the forest, pleaded Kyle. I'm not pleased with your pleases. You got to do better than that, said Leila. How about I scare away all the mean kids at your school with my T-Rex? No one's mean to me except you, said Leila. Okay, how about a rain of lollipops? Oh, too old for that. Okay, raining toys? Too old for that too, said Leila and walked away. How about a pen that has all the colors for an artist like you? Leila stopped and asked. All the colors? Yes, if I worked harder, I can make it work with water. You won't run out of ink, said Kyle. Oh, really? That will be really exciting. When can you make one? Asked Leila. Kyle said, as soon as we come back from the Macon forest. When do we leave? The eventful day came and Kyle and Leila packed their bags with camera, food, and some of Kyle's inventions. Their dad arranged for a travel guide named Sumar, who's a talking ape, to be their guide. They boarded a flying craft. They flew over the magma continent where the Macon forest was. Kyle and Leila were so excited to be able to see their forest at last. The forest had variety of trees, birds and species that didn't exist anywhere else on their planet. The flying craft was surrounded by giant clouds just above the rainforest. When the flying craft descends the clouds, they will get to see the rainforest at last. Leila picked a hand drawn picture of the rainforest. The picture had a lot of trees, waterfalls, and lakes. But as the craft descended down into the giant forest, Kyle's and Leila's excitement fell. They looked at the forest in shock. About a quarter of the forest was empty. The grounds were leveled. Some of it were barren grounds. cattle were raised on those empty grounds. Kyle looked at the guide and asked, "What happened to the forest?" The guide, Sumar, said, "What about the forest?" "Where are the trees? The rainforest is not supposed to be like that," said Leila, shockingly. "Okay, kids. Obviously, we take a lot of things from this forest," said Sumar. He had seen the forest many a times, so this wasn't a shock to him. But Kyle and Leila were utterly shocked that their lovable forest is slowly dying. "What are we taking from it?" asked Kyle. "Well, let's see. We build our home from its woods. We make our finest musical instruments from here. We get gold and diamonds from here. Cattle are raised so you can all eat them. I heard that some are taking the soil for other purposes," said Sumar. "No, that's not right," shouted Leila. "I'm going to write a letter to the world's head to stop this immediately." "Oh, yes, I forgot. The paper you will write that letter might also come from here," said Sumar. "Are you saying that we are destroying the forest that supports the life on this planet?" asked Kyle. Sumar just looked at him with no answers. "Okay then, I'm going to stop using papers from now on. Period," said Leila. Her brother looked at her shocked. "And then what? Will you stop building homes too?" asked Sumar. Leila said, "Yes." "Will you stop using furnitures?" "Yes," said Leila. "So you'll stop using musical instruments?" asked Sumar. "Maybe," said Leila. "And you will stop eating meat?" asked Sumar. Leila hesitated and said, "Maybe." Kyle interrupted. "First, you told us that we are destroying the forest, but now you're also saying that we can't stop destroying it. Why are you confusing us?" Sumar laughed. He said, "You can't end cutting trees or stop eating those cattle raised here because the whole planet depends on it. But if we learned to differentiate between our needs versus our wants, we can definitely save this forest," said Sumar. Leila said, "From now on, I'll buy stuff that is absolutely needed for me. Will that save the forest?" Sumar looked at her and said, "Yes, but everyone should do our part because this is a big forest." "Oh, then it's never going to happen," cried Leila. "No, tell everyone about it. Everybody wants to live happily on this planet, don't they? But if they only understand that the problems the forest is facing, they will definitely do their best," said Sumar. Kyle looked at the busy woodcutters. He asked Sumar, "It seems like they're cutting too many trees off, don't you think?" "Well, the nations control how many trees can be cut on a day. But these guys, they do their own thing," said Sumar. "I can't allow that," said Kyle and ran towards them. "Wait, wait!" yelled Sumar. Kyle approached the cutters. "Hey, you're not supposed to be here," shouted Kyle. "Leave the trees now." The cutters used heavy machines which made a lot of noise. So one of the cutters said to Kyle, "Be a little louder. We can't hear you." So Kyle repeated it again. Another cutter said, "You got to be a little more louder than that." Kyle sighed and he shouted at the top of his voice, with these missions, we still can't hear you," said another. He and his men laughed. And that's when Kyle realized that the woodcutters were actually making fun of him all along. Kyle angrily went back. One of the cutters yelled, "What were you saying, boy?" Sumar felt bad for Kyle. He said, "You tried well, Kyle, but these people don't listen to anybody. because they are not afraid about anything. Let's leave this place. As they headed back to the flying craft, Leila got an idea. She whispered something to Kyle. The children ran back to the flying craft. Suma was curious to know what they were planning to do next. The children brought back Kyle's dinosaur projector. As Sumar watched curiously, Kyle set up his device. His device projected a huge T Rex, almost the size of the trees that the woodcutters worked on. The T Rex roared and ran towards them. The terrified woodcutters threw away their machines and ran. The T Rex snapped its huge jaws at them. They hollered and screamed in fear. Everybody tried to run as fast as they could from the T Rex. As they ran past Kyle, Kyle shouted at them, "Is this audible enough, guys?" They all left the place. "Wow, you definitely scared the pants off them. But there are many more of them all over this forest," said Sumar. "I have so many dinosaurs too," said Kyle proudly. "And that means you will leave your greatest invention behind," said Leila. "That's okay," sighed Kyle. Leila looked at him and said, "I'm so proud of you, Kyle." After the children got home, Kyle and Leila told everybody about the problems that their dear rainforest was facing. In the next few years, they stopped overcutting the trees and also found alternative ways to make paper, furniture, and everything that they needed instead of cutting trees from the rainforest. The end.